This machine's completely unique because it is a standalone drum machine with a little extras. I still use the thing. Hello. Today we have the Machine Drum Mark II User Wave. Out of production but not forgotten. This is the last iteration of the Machine Drum series from Elektron, which boasts a little more sample time, longer patterns, and a sleeker design than the Mark I predecessor. It's a drum machine. It pays homage to the old classics that we all know and love, and you've probably heard or seen one of these in a studio at some point in your career as a producer, or maybe heard about its mystery. So I'm going to show you quick how I use the machine and just like create a beat with it really fast. So I loaded a kit I made. You can change the sounds in the kit. That's all like easy to do, but I loaded up a little bit of samples that I put in the machine and some of the stock sounds. So these are my sounds that I chose. Some have effects, some have a little bit of editing, but I'm going to start just with a kick. There's no metronome, so you have to kind of make your own one. I'm just going to take a sound. I think it's this one. So I have a metronome. I like to play things in by hand. I don't like to really put it in record and play by steps. That's a lot of, it's personal preference. So, and I have I'm going to put this in double time so I can get some rolls, like 32 seconds. It's still like playing in 16ths. So first part, I'm going to not hit record so I can find like a snare. There we go. Got the snare on. When you hit record and play, you can play by hand. When record's just enabled, you're playing by the steps. So if I want to go back to my snare, select it function, I can add notes for a fill. The patterns do not save. They save automatically, but they're going to get overwritten if you modify. So if I like this and I want to keep it this way, I'm going to save this pattern. Well, not save it. I'm going to copy it to a new pattern. So I have it for the future, but right now I really don't care. I'm just going to make a jam, and you know, creativity comes from messing things up. So here we go. Playing back from the start. So I can jam live and put a couple rolls in there. There's a really cool retrig function. Right now I'm just retriggering the snare. If I want to retrigger everything, I can hold down function. And that's when things start to get chaotic. If I hit function and the extend button here, it will refresh to where it is also when playing live. So let's continue making that beat. Little hi-hat. I'm gonna raise the volume of that a little bit. And do some automation. Cool. Snare's getting annoying. I'll take some of those steps out. I'm just gonna put one step. And I'm gonna step lock, maybe reverb at that step. And then put some more snares in that don't have it. So I will hold down the step. And on those last two steps, I'm also going to put the decay down so they're a bit more stumpy. Let's add a few more and make them like just short. Put the decay and hold down. And then we'll put some filtering on the automation too so they're not so right in the face. So basic beat. If I want to make a variation of that, I'm going to hit function and copy and go to another pattern, empty slot or not, function paste. So if I want to jam with this now on this second pattern, which I just copied over, I'm going to just kind of mangle it and mess it up a bit more. So I'm going to go back to the first pattern, and I'm going to just switch between the patterns while it's playing. So now we have two different patterns. So if I wanted to play through them, A, select the pattern by holding the pattern button and the selected step that correlates to the pattern. And I'll give you a quick example of what happens when I take the steps out. I'm going to get rid of that snare. And I'm like, hey, I like that. If I go to this next pattern, I'm like, shoot, I messed it up, but I want that pattern back. I can just go and reload the kit on that pattern. My pattern's still safe, in which I will do, blah, 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 blah. Bing. There, we have it back. Go back to our other pattern with the missing snare. So that's kind of like how I would like to use the machine. There's something really cool that this machine does is you could kind of sample with it. It's not really like a traditional sampler, but there is a resampling. So if you have one track, any track set to a record slot and one set to a playback slot, you could trigger record by just pressing the button while it's playing, and you can play it back by hitting the other button. So let me make sure these are not muted. So now I just grab the sample by hitting that, and now I have it on this pad. Wherever I hit it, I'm going to hit it when the snare happens so it's more noticeable. I will go to the next pattern to give you the example. So I hit it there. It recorded a teeny loop. I can set the length of this tiny loop that's in RAM. I can mangle that up. I can make a sequence out of it now if I mute everything else by holding function mute. I have only the sample here, and I will put it in grid mode so you can see. I'll just do 4 steps, nice and easy. So I have this little thing, and the same thing with this little sample. I can start doing my parameter locks, which has become a very popular thing in Electron devices over the years. We'll do a little retrigger on one step and some filtering. On the second step, we'll do some amplitude modulation. We'll do pitch on that one too. The third one, we'll change the start and end point and retrigger it. On the first one, we'll just leave it how it is. So we have like a cacophonous mess. Another thing about the resampling that I really enjoyed personally was playing live with machines, using an analog desk, having the resampling playback buffer going out on a separate channel, because you have multiple channels, and then bring that one just up after I resampled, bring all the other faders down, and setting my next pattern on this device and others before bringing them back in to create for smoother transitions in playing live. So here's a little beat with the TRX kit, one of the internal ones. I put my little metronome down. So this is just one of the internal kits, no other samples. You notice I didn't save, and once I did the retriggering and the function all to edit all parameters, I lost what I did, and that's okay. It loads back to where it was. If I wanted to save it while I was doing it and I found something I liked, but let's just keep going. It's the internal kick. You have a ramp and a decay, so you can give it a little bump. Get it low. We're gonna do some pitching on the kicks as well. What else do we have? That's pretty much it of that one, and I'm gonna save it because I kind of like it. So now if I did like the little editing and mangled it, but if I like that, I just save it to a new slot. So yeah, pretty intuitive, quick, lots of possibilities. It's not a dated machine, even though it's not made anymore, but at the time this came out, you know, we had our, MPCs and Korgs and a lot of things that sampled and then also did drums, but this kind of like does it in its own way, and it's unique, and it really is created a sound for a long time, and is a pretty strong device, and still looks pretty sleek for the time it was made as well. Another good thing here about the limitations is that you have everything on one page. There's no real menu diving once you have your kit set up. You have synthesis, effects, and routing for each of your track slots. Nothing else. If you hold down the function key, it opens the LFO page. That's it. There's no like ton of gazillion features. There's useful reverb, useful delay. There's a master compressor with some volume, which really ties it together. Those limitations are good. And just being able to have a thing set up and hitting a pad, and if we had sound, that would also help. Just having a sound and going, I want reverb, cool. Okay, I want a retrigger, cool, right there. I want to change the length, put the decay on, pitch. It's just all right there. Filter, done, and I can snap in and I can parameter lock those modifications, which you can do now on all Electron devices, but this paved the way. And this is not a sponsored video, by the way, from a company who their first device was the SID station, which I think they took Commodore 64 chips out and made, kind of glitchy. This is the step up. Well, not step up, it's a different step. This was the next attempt at making something unique. I think the SID station is really unique. This boasts 12-bit samples too, so they have some grit, some warmth, something a lot of people look for in different genres of music. And it's still a very popular device among people doing glitch, IDM, techno. Like, to make techno this super easy, layering for the same kick, changing filter, changing pitch, distortion, like really easy to layer and get like a good punchy kick out of it with little to no effort. On the topic of easy techno beat, have some kicks loaded. Let's make a simple beat. Here we go. Steps. Layer. There you have it. Done, quick and easy, combination of samples and internal sounds. Now we'll mangle it a little bit, give it a little more life, hopefully. Now, a cool thing too is you can nudge the pattern for a single step. If you have it playing and the step is selected and you see it, if I hold down function, I can move it around. So I get some different divisionals of my rhythm. It doesn't really do polymetric, polyrhythmic, because you are stuck in your scale setup. You have a length, defined length, but I could do like 4 and then go to 8. That was 9, 4, 8, etc. And change it from a 1 to double, so I can double time it. And you have 4 bars you can do too, which is neat if you want to be that daring. Quick and easy beat. Some people might say the machine drum is limited. I think quite the opposite. The limitations open up worlds of possibilities with creativity. You have separate outputs, which not a lot of machines boast these days because we're doing a lot digitally and via USB-C, computer, sound card, etc. You have inputs too, which you can run external gear into and grab them as a sample while you're playing live or poking around. You can resample the internal input to get some pretty cool, strange results, as we spoke about. And the internal machines sound good. They sound pretty beefy. This unit, compared to the Mark I, they increased, I think, the impedance on the main outputs. They made them balanced, as far as I know. It's also a smaller design than the first one they made since 2006. But you can do with this pretty much anything you can do on today's comparable drum machine with a little time and effort, layering sounds and internal sounds with some of your own sounds. The RAM in this, I believe, is 2.5 megabytes. Which back then was like, wow, it has samples at least. That was pretty neat. I know to today's standards, that is nothing, but that also limits you to loading in the samples for your project that you want that you're actually going to use and being conscious of that. So that's a good limitation. And the build feels good. It still feels like a sturdy device. This is my personal one. It's been gigged a lot. It spent a lot of time in suitcases, and it, till now, still works. It's missing a bunch of these Torx screws. I think the 3 here on the top, but no biggie. I'm going to try to make something melodic out of this. It's a drum machine. It's not really designed to play polyphonic chords and such, but by loading up the ground synth, I have this sine wave. So I can pitch this. The pitches are in numeric increments, so it's a little bit fussy if you want to get it right, but now I copied over, or actually loaded or copied, either way, the same sound to all these first, I guess, 7 pads. And I painstakingly took the 15 seconds to tune them. by ear, and let's try to make a sequence out of that. We'll just, again, do what we did before, and we will clear the pattern, and I'll put a little metronome in somewhere. Now we'll do it with no metronome, we'll just let it roll. There, we have something that sounds kind of musical. Let's see what else we have here. Add something kind of like a bass. I can take another one of those. I will select it, edit, and find a sound. I'll just load the same one. I could load a sample too, but most of the samples I have in here are like percussive one-shots, but let's see if we have something close to it. So we'll just take that little gritty one. That's the length of the sample, and we will kind of tune that. Sounds close. And we'll pitch a couple of them now. There, that's fine. I'll paste it over so I get the same thing. We'll make this one a little higher. Sorry for you people with perfect pitch. I know this is killing you right now, but there are no notes. It's a pitch from -64 to +63, standard MIDI implementation as far as I know. So now I changed it, it sounds all wonky, but there we go. And the same thing is I can function and edit all the sounds at once. Play with the filter. Make the note shorter, so it sounds plucky. We hear transients, something like a synthesizer would sound like. And with the resampling again here, really neat, really quick. If I resample, hold this, I have a sampler buffer listening and one for playback. Okay, I recalled it, didn't save it, but we're gonna grab a sample from this because I don't wanna do that again. So here we go. Grab sample. So now I have this little blip I can play with. And the cool thing with this is the sampler buffer will hold that sample indefinitely until I sample something else over it. So I go to a different pattern, that sample's still in there. Well, there I can play that little sample, mute some stuff. That is a horrendously loud kick drum. Anyways, we have the sample there. We can use that going to the next pattern. Good for doing transitions when you're going from pattern to pattern. Really simple to grab a little part, mute everything else by hitting mute and just swiping your finger over it, turning it on and off. And that's a little trick to be able to play live with this fluidly and not get lost. Why the machine drum? Why do I still have one in my possession? Personal reasons, nostalgia. I still use the thing. It spends a lot of time on a shelf, but it spends equally as much time as my studio centerpiece. And once I plug it in and get lost in the flow of this thing, I rarely end up doing much else for like that day when I'm working. What's different to this than all the other Elektron boxes? Well, this machine's completely unique because it is a standalone drum machine with a little extras. You have a whopping 2.5 megabytes of sample time, in which those limitations are good because you're going to put in the sounds in your project that are really important that you're going to use. You're going to be more conscious about them, not having like 8 million sample packs and not knowing what decision to make. That's a common problem making music. You don't know where to stop. Change the sound until you find something you like. With this, you can get to it quickly. You can layer sounds, beef them up, use the internal little ground engines, impulse responses to make things sound deeper. There's distortion filtering, a basic EQ, basic effects. Like, it's pretty much all there. And it's easy to use, and it still looks cool. So compared to a lot of the newer Elektron machines, if you have the analog rhythm, for example, it sounds beefy, it's great, it's got outputs similar to this, has some more performance mode capabilities. But for some reason, the machine drum, with the easy retriggering, function all, reloading, just the simplicity of it makes it powerful.